It seems inevitable in this SUV-ized world, but Volkswagen tells us that now when people think of its brand, instead of the iconic Golf hatch, they think of this car, the Tiguan midsize SUV. It's been updated for this year and it's quite a comprehensive rework under the skin, so we're going to take a look at the new refreshed Tiguan range for 2021. We're going to look at the whole Tiguan range, so if you do want to skip ahead to a part that interests you in this video, we'll throw some time codes up on the screen now. And as always, there's a full written review over on carsguide.com.au, and if you are watching on YouTube and are enjoying our videos, remember to hit like, remember to hit subscribe and the bell notification icon just to stay up to date with all of our latest content. The updated Tiguan range has been made a bit less complicated. It initially arrives in 3 versions of the 5-seater you see here, but in the future it will become more expansive to again include the 7-seat Allspace and for the first time a wild Tiguan R. The Allspace and range-topping performance-focused R aren't slated to hit Australian shores until 2022. For now though, the initial batch of 5-seaters consists of the base Life, only available as a front-drive 110 TSI or all-wheel drive 132 TSI, as well as the mid-grade Elegance and top-spec R-Line, which can either be chosen as a 147 TDI diesel or 162 TSI petrol, exclusively in all-wheel drive. Hit pause to see the prices on your screen now. You'll notice technically the base model Life is more expensive than ever, now competing with mid-grades of rivals like the Mazda CX-5, Toyota RAV4, and new generation Hyundai Tucson. However, it does come incredibly well equipped, not looking or feeling like a base model at all. Standard equipment includes an impressive array of digital features in the cabin, including an 8-inch multimedia touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity, as well as a 10.25-inch digital dashboard, as also seen on Audi products. The base car also scores keyless entry with push-start ignition, 18-inch alloy wheels, LED headlights, and gesture-controlled power tailgate. It already outshoots most of its rivals on the standard equipment front, but can also be optioned with the pricey luxury pack to include leather seat trim, heated steering wheel, electrical adjust for the driver's seat, and a panoramic glass sunroof. Stepping up to the mid-grade Elegance nets more powerful engine choices and all-wheel drive with adaptive chassis control, 19-inch alloy wheels, chrome exterior styling touches, interior ambient lighting, upgraded LED headlights and taillights, and an upgraded 9.2-inch multimedia touchscreen. Finally, the R-Line adds massive 20-inch alloy wheels, progressive steering, a sportier wheel with touch panel controls, bespoke Vienna leather R-Line seats, as well as a slew of sporty interior and exterior highlight details. Interestingly, the R-Line loses the gesture control for its electric tailgate. The only optional pack available on the Elegance and R-Line grades is the Sound and Vision package, which adds a 360-degree parking camera, head-up display, and Harman Kardon 9-speaker audio system. The panoramic sunroof can also be added separately. A huge boost for buyers is the fact that every single Tiguan variant has the full safety suite as standard, and we'll take a look at that later. Now you might have noticed, particularly from the front, the Tiguan looks quite different for this year. And even though it's not a complete model overhaul like the Golf 8 is, Volkswagen's given it the same face as the Golf 8 just to keep it up to date with the rest of its range. The Tiguan was already an attractive car, and while its face and tail have been touched up with more contemporary grille and badge treatments, its side profile is near identical. It's been tweaked just enough to keep it fresh for the next few years. On the inside of the new Tiguan, and not a whole lot has changed, it is really subtle just like it is on the outside. The main difference you'll spot straight away is this new wheel. It looks really good. It's got a new set of buttons, and Volkswagen is the same but slightly different logo. The big wow factor here though is that virtual instrument cluster. It looks amazing in a base model car like this, and it inherits all those features it gets from other Volkswagen products and Audi products and the like. Other features you might notice in here are the nice bright multimedia screen. That's not too different from how it was before, but it does now have wireless Apple CarPlay even on the base model. And there's also a new climate unit. Now the old one was looking a little dated, but this new one is all touch. And I can understand if you don't like that. It does have some nifty features, like you can just tap the hot and the cold buttons to adjust it by 1 degree. You can drag your finger across if you need more than that, or you can just hold it right in the middle to set it to 22 degrees. But then again, touch controls are never the best, so we'll see how that one plays out when we drive. One of my main criticisms about this cabin though is even though it's quite spacious and quite practical, which we'll get to in a second, it's just a big slate of grey. It's really up and down, really tall, and it's just sort of a monochrome colour. And it's just a bit boring from this kind of flash standpoint that Volkswagen's coming from with this car. Our base car too also has a $5,000 option pack, which does add this really nice looking leather seat trim, that big panoramic sunroof, and a heated steering wheel. The Elegance and R-Line add a presence on the road through their larger wheels, chrome finishes, and in the R-Line's case, far more aggressive bodywork. Aside from that, the interior is surprisingly largely the same as the base Life, with a larger screen, improved seating, and moodier dark highlight fittings, particularly in the case of the R-Line with its black headliner and bespoke steering wheel. Volkswagen interiors are usually full of nifty practicality tricks, so let's see if that's the case with this update. As is typical with the Tiguan range, practicality in the cabin is really good. So in the door, you've got a large bin which easily consumes a large CarsGuide bottle, and these kind of spring-loaded clasping cup holders in here which easily hold it as well. You can fit two in there quite easily, and there's space for stuff like keys and wallets and things. You get a variable height console box, which is also clad in a nice soft trim, and so is the doors. It even extends up here as well, which is really nice, and everything's quite easy within reach. Again, you might miss the dials for that climate unit. As well, you get this weird little dash mounted box that was on the previous Tiguan as well. I'm not sure what you're going to put in there. A wallet, I guess, maybe a phone. It's just a fun little extra bit. You also get USB-C only in here. There's two outlets down there and a 12-volt outlet. And interestingly, there's no wireless charger even in this base car. Some Kias get that, and it really matches nicely with the wireless Apple CarPlay. That'll drain your battery really quickly too, so it's a bit of a shame that you don't have it. You will need to plug in if you are going to use that feature for more than just like a little bit of an urban commute, so that's worth noting as well. As with the previous Tiguan as well, backseat space is excellent. As you can see, I'm behind my own driving position. I have miles of knee room there. And also, headroom's really good, even with the panoramic sunroof in place, which is nice to see. There's also a set of practical pockets with little like phone things on the back of the seats here, which is really cool to see. Soft trim continues into the doors, and there are dual adjustable air vents with their own climate zone and a lock-off. Rear passengers also benefit from a single USB-C outlet and a 12-volt outlet, so this is one of the best back seats in the class. Finally, on the practicality front back here, you have a large binnacle in the doors, not quite as big as the front seats, but still really, really good, and a drop-down armrest, again with the leather clad here, and practical bottle holders. The Tiguan offers a 615-litre boot capacity, which is excellent for the class, and easily consumed our CarsGuide demo luggage set. There is a space saver spare under the floor of every updated Tiguan variant. If you're wondering about towing, all Tiguans are rated to tow 750 kilos unbraked or 2,500 kilos braked, except for the base Life 110, which is only rated to tow 1,800 kilos braked. There are 4 engines in the updated Tiguan range. Starting on the base Life, that car can be chosen with either a 1.4-litre turbo petrol front-wheel drive 110 TSI or a 132 TSI 2-litre turbocharged petrol all-wheel drive. The Elegance and the R-Line can only be chosen with either a 162 TSI 2-litre turbocharged petrol or a 147 TDI 2-litre turbocharged turbo diesel, and both of those are all-wheel drive only. All engines are Euro 6 compliant and all use dual clutch automatic transmissions with 6 speeds for the front drive 110 TSI or 7 speeds for the rest of the range. Aside from some tweaks, the engine options here are very similar to the pre-facelift models. So let's take a look how they fare behind the wheel. Here from behind the wheel of the 110 TSI, the absolute base engine, and not a whole lot has changed here. And that's because the engine and 6-speed dual clutch transmission are carryover from the previous car. And that does mean that our complaints about this combination, they carry over as well. It is slightly underpowered in this application, and the dual clutch is a little glitchy and does catch at low speeds. And of course you've got a stop-start system as well, so that does mean that when you're at those T-junctions, a set of red lights, a roundabout, you do have that moment where you've got no torque and there is a little bit of a catch-up time.
Now that's not to say that once everything is up and running here, it isn't still really quite nice to drive. There is enough torque on offer to get this relatively large SUV up and running, and once you're going, it's quite mechanical and quite engaging to drive too. So it's actually not as bad as you think it might be. Steering and handling in the Tiguan has always been good, and again, that's unchanged as well, so it's still good in this facelift. We really like the way the steering's light at low speeds, but still has plenty of feel when you're up in the corners. And the suspension is really good too. The engineers at VW are brilliant at getting that balance between body control and comfort when you need to go over bumps and then into corners as well. Again, with that engine and transmission, give it a real kick in the guts, and it even sounds pretty good as well. All the little creature comforts offered behind the wheel here are really nice too. All the wheel controls are really ergonomic and aesthetic. The digital dash is, again, brilliant, easy to use, really intuitive. And even this touchscreen is at the right distance from your hand, so everything's really easy to use here as well. So what's it like in urban quarters? Well, even this base model is pretty brilliant, really. You won't really notice that lack of power unless you're in the most dire of situations. And the tall ride height gives you a really nice commanding view of the road that a lot of SUV buyers are looking for. And there's plenty of visibility from this glass house as well. So really, the Tiguan does continue to be at the forefront of this class behind the wheel, even though it's disappointing that there haven't been a few more changes here.
Next, let's take a look at the R line, which promises a more engaging driving experience. Interestingly, Volkswagen tells us that the R line model will account for almost 50% of all Tiguan sales.
Just a few minutes behind the wheel of the 162 TSI, and it's easy to see the benefit of getting that larger engine. A lot of the complaints we had about the 110, the glitchiness, the jerkiness, the hesitation, they all fall to the wayside in this larger engine car. It just feels instantly responsive, much less hesitant, and much more controlled. There's much less of a need to keep the car up in the torque band, as the 162 has enough to get it moving along at pretty much any speed, or even when you catch it off guard. And there's the obvious benefit of having more power. It feels much better under acceleration, and it pairs really nicely to that dual clutch feel of being able to just snap through those gears. It has improved across the board as well. It does feel as though the tires on this particular car have much more grip than they did in the 110. It feels, with the all-wheel drive system, as though it's going to be much less prone to understeer as the 110. But there's definitely a cost. I feel like the larger wheel and slimmer tire combination on this car, while it does offer better grip, it makes the ride a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe a little too uncomfortable for some buyers.
It's worth noting that while the R-Line can be a little rough around town, it gets better the faster you go. Its progressive steering becomes more apparent when tackling corners at speed, and its ride and tyres grant it superior body control over corrugations.
So of the options in the Tiguan range, I do think if you're an enthusiastic driver, it is worth going up to that 162 TSI. Just be aware of the ride on this R-Line. If you are looking for a little bit more of a comfort ride, I'm sure you can choose that with the Elegance. Keep in mind, we haven't sampled an Elegance grade or a 147 TDI for this launch, so watch out for a future variant review. So although there haven't been any major changes to the Tiguan range for this update, and that is a little bit disappointing, it is still one of the better to drive SUVs in this price bracket.
Check the numbers on your screen now to see the official consumption figures for the 110 TSI and the R-Line we tested for this review. Although this wasn't over a full week of combined testing and was just a short launch drive. It's also worth noting that all the petrol cars require a minimum of 95 unleaded fuel. VW has gone for a no-compromise approach on safety and made this section really easy to explain. VW's IQ Drive suite now includes high-speed auto emergency braking with reverse auto braking, lane keep assist with lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert, adaptive cruise control with stop and go function, driver attention alert, as well as front and rear parking sensors. It's an impressive suite, made more so by the fact that it's on every variant. The same can't be said for many rivals.
As always, Volkswagen offers the Tiguan with a 5-year and unlimited kilometre warranty, which is up there with its Japanese rivals. The brand also offers prepaid service plans, which can shave quite a bit off of the cap price servicing program, so keep that in mind too. They're often worth bundling in at the time of purchase.
Volkswagen's service packs come in 3 or 5 year forms and are as shown on your screen now.
The Tiguan moves a smidge up market for this update, now with a higher entry cost than ever before. And while that might rule it out for some buyers, no matter which one of these SUVs you pick, you're still getting the full suite of safety, comfort and convenience features on offer. All that's left for you to decide is which engine and style suits you the most, and ultimately that's pretty subjective. What do you think? Has Volkswagen gotten it right with this update? Is the more expensive but better specified Tiguan on the money? Or is it just too expensive now? Tell us what you think in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video and you're watching on YouTube, remember to hit like, subscribe and the bell notification icon just to stay up to date with all of our latest content.